guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to just be doing a story time video, kind of just talking about a little bit how I got into anime and manga. Just comics in general, anything with like cartoons and all that, and basically what I do now. To start, I want to just say that the the amount of times that I've been like looking at different things for inspiration all kind of really stemmed from my original time watching my very first anime, which was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was either Digimon or I think Cardcaptor Sakura. But the first time I like fully sat down and watched something was Bleach. That was back when it was still airing on Toonami late at night, and so my first really, yeah, like I said, real time watching anything. I would watch that. I would watch Naruto, a little bit of Inuyasha, Dragon Ball Z, obviously. And so those are like my big inspirations. Moving on though, the first time that I really kind of read, and I kind of alluded to it in the unboxing video I did, my first video, the thing that got me into it was a friend. Uh, I don't think he'd care if I say his name, but just to be considerate, I'm not going to. I'm gonna use a different name. So just call him, I don't know, John. Anyway, so John was one of the first people I met when I got to my school, my elementary school. We were not really like the best of friends, and to be honest, I don't even think we really talked much. He was actually a friend of mine that I made. So I guess he wasn't the first person I met. He was the second person I met there. Anyway, we got introduced. We started hanging out. Then there were like more people, and our group kind of kept getting bigger and bigger. One day he brought in this like Shonen Jump, and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" You know, because I was the child that liked to read. So what I did was I asked to borrow it, and he let me use it for the day. I just sat through and read the entire thing, like cover to cover, and it was amazing. I remember, like I said, seeing Bleach in there, and I'm bringing this up because, like I said, Bleach really inspired me to like kind of want to get into art. When I saw how like Tite Kubo drew, it blew my mind. Honestly, it was amazing. When that happened, and I first initially started reading it back in elementary school, really got more into it in middle school because I was able to kind of go to the library and check things out on my own. But as that love for it grew, I slowly started discovering, like rediscovering anime, you know? Because to me, Digimon, Pokemon, all that were just cartoons that I would watch. I didn't kind of, I mean, it's a cartoon, it's a Japanese animated cartoon, but there are a lot of differences. There are a lot of liberties that they take that we wouldn't hear, you know, like for cartoons and stuff. But I guess more so now they're allowing things that they normally wouldn't have 20, 30 years ago. Or no, I guess actually, yeah, things have been. It's the reverse because they used to have a lot. Like cartoons, they used to show people getting beaten up, shot, killed. Now, nothing. Which is fine. I think it helps the children. Anyway, moving on. I'm rambling. I really enjoyed the episode of Bleach that I watched was I believe, fifth episode where Ichigo is still training in the world of the living, and him and Ruki are like going back and forth. And I just remember, like I said, the art style was what really caught my attention. So going on to let's see, probably my eighth grade year. That was when I went to a different school. We were supposed to get a building for eight was it 8 through 12. So it was going to be like you finish your eighth grade year, middle school, you know, your last year in middle school, then you become a high schooler. Well, anyway, I got there, and we had, for the first time, an anime and manga club. I finally had something that I could enjoy. So when I got into there, I started looking at more stuff that was a little more like grown up ish, I would say. Because when I was younger, I was more into like the Pokemon type series. I was into a lot of the romance oriented stuff. I like those, mostly the action, but the big three I used to watch were, of course, Naruto, Bleach, and Dragon Ball Z. Never really got into One Piece until recently, but I kid you not, the one thing that I remember seeing when I got to high school was this anime called Fruit Basket. And if you've seen it, or you've seen the remake, which I still need to watch the remake, so if you've seen the remake, let me know what you think about it. I really want to check it out. That was another really good one. There's a bunch of titles I can recommend that I will get from the library. The only complaint that I had about a lot of the anime that was coming out from like 2010 to 2014 was really the lack of depth in the story because they were rushing it just to have it caught up with the manga, but they weren't even doing anything with it. Like they would do 12 episodes and that'd be the end of the series. Some of them were 24, 26, 28, but for the most part, it was always like 12 episodes, a 13th episode over, and that would be it. And then the rest would just be like all manga format. One that I saw that was another really good one. It was called Kaze no Stigma. I think there's more to it, but it was a really interesting one. Not actually was it? I could see some of them. They're kind of hit or miss. My love for it all kind of just sprouted from the fact that I could relate to a lot of the characters. I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't really bother with saying it, but it's the truth. I was bullied a lot, so for me watching that and reading it, it was like really inspiring for me. And a lot of times, it would be like the only thing I had to do, because I really didn't have access to the internet a whole lot. If I did, it would be mostly on the weekends when I go to my grandma's house. I didn't really go to the library and use the computers for internet and all that. I was more so there for the books. That's kind of how I got into manga more. I prefer to read versus watching it, so that's why a lot of the times my friends ask me, "Oh, have you seen such and such?" I'm like, "Ah, I'm good," because I prefer to read the manga. It's just usually more content in it, unless it's like a direct anime, adaptation of something, a book or whatever. Rising of the Sword, or Rising of the Shield Hero was a really good one that came from a book, and honestly, like I'm waiting for season two. I am all the way behind it. Like that is one of my favorites. Another one that I've been recently trying to get into is I believe it's called I'll come back to that when I remember it, but stuff like Boruto and watching that. It's not that I don't think Boruto's that bad. That's another thing. There's a lot of debates in the communities, and getting into those, that's a whole other video topic. There are so many different communities for the different shows and the manga and all that. I Sometimes you just don't want to get into them. Swordplay is honestly probably one of the biggest things that draws me to different anime and manga, because for me, I'm really into swords and bow staffs and stuff like that, archery, anything that's like either medieval or has to deal with samurais or ninjas. I am down for it. So, if you have any recommendations, by the way, for like anime or something I could watch, let me know. I'm trying to expand and watch a little bit more. I don't have much free time, but I would like to watch something that I can kind of binge throughout the next couple of months. I might even do a review on them. So definitely let me know. And if you want any suggestions, like I said, I watched a lot of the older ones, so just go ahead and drop it in the comments below. Oh, and that's another thing. I really appreciate everyone who's watched. If you could go ahead, if you haven't already subscribe. That would really help me out. Lets me know like who all watches and who all is seeing what type of content I'm creating. Because eventually I want to probably split up my videos between like 2 days a week. So I would do one tutorial video and then one like extra video, like what I'm doing now, like a story time. Maybe not every week, but like rotate them. For this week though, I definitely want it to get 2 out. So hopefully this is gonna be out by 10 o'clock. If not, 11 at the latest. Just to finish off the rest of the story, because I know it's kind of dragging on and I haven't really talked much about why I love it. So again, the whole reason why I even got into anime and all that was because I didn't really have many friends growing up. It was kind of like just me and my 4 best friends, and we were all into anime. We all liked different ones. We all had different favorite characters. I remember the common one that we all watched together, and that we all kind of like were up to date on and keeping up with was Naruto 100%. I was kind of more into Bleach, but usually when recess came or it was lunchtime, Naruto was what everybody was talking about. I remember those used to be some of the most lit conversations I had with my friends. We would talk about theories we had. They would, things we saw on the internet, because it would, back then everything wasn't always 100%. Even now you can still get fooled, but especially back then, like the whole, I think, what was it? There was a theory that Kakashi was like Sasuke's dad, or he was also Sasuke's brother, something like that. And I was just like, whoa, like, when you're a kid, you think pretty much that whatever you're saying, whatever you see is true. That was a that was an interesting one. And so yeah, basically every day was filled with that. I remember we used to even copy a lot of the stuff we would see. Um, the Naruto running, which I know is memed a lot, but it was still fun to do. We used to climb and mark trees. We even had like our own little group thing. We had a tree. I remember I was so sad when I found out they cut it down. But we actually carved our initials into a tree, and it stood there for a long time after we had left. But our initials spelled out. It was KEKKI. Wait, no, KEKC. No. Sorry, KECKI. Because there was 5 of us, and that was like our big thing. We had a tree. I miss those days. So watching anime and manga definitely gives me a nostalgic feeling, especially when I draw. Like a lot of my characters are inspired from old stuff that I used to watch, and it was a great time. It was a great time to watch. So thank you for listening, and that's been my story time.